So, welcome everybody to Nova, New Hampshire's Farmer Listening Session, connecting organic growers with NRCS opportunities. Today we have two people joining us. Colleen Reed from the Conservation Specialist from Oregon Tilth, and Catherine Coverdale is the Conservation Biologist with Cersei Society, and they are partners with NRCS and are going to take us through a presentation today about working with NRCS. So thank you very much, both of you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So happy to be here. Like Teresa said, my name's Colleen. I'm an organic conservation specialist. I work for Oregon Tilth, and we have a cooperative agreement with NRCS. And I work for the East region as an organic specialist. So NRCS staff might give me a call if they have some questions about organic farming. And I do organic training for their staff and outreach to producers as well. And I'll have Catherine introduce herself as well for us, and then we'll get started.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here too. So excited about this. I am a pollinator conservation and integrated pest management specialist, specifically with Xerces Society, and also a partner biologist with NRCS. So I help connect land operators, owners, farmers with resources for pest management and pollinator conservation through NRCS programs. And I'm looking forward to talking with you all today about how organic fits into all that.
Perfect. All right. So we've put together a short presentation just generally about NRCS and hopefully leaving plenty of time for questions. So don't hesitate to ask any clarifying questions of us through our presentation, and then hopefully we can get into some details that you want to once we're done. So what is conservation? It's an intentional care and stewardship of natural resources while farming. So what are those natural resources on the farm? What do those look like? And to help you along, you don't have to be an expert in any NRCS language, but just to help us along with it, this is kind of how NRCS talks about our natural resources: soil, water, air, plants, animals, and energy. And it can be abbreviated with these folks who are in the NRCS world a lot to SWAPA plus E. Now, a example of like a plant natural resource might be its productivity. It might be biodiversity, things like that. So these areas get into more details within kind of the scope of conservation science. So how does that look in an organic system? The things that you already might be doing to meet USDA organic regulations might also be part of addressing your natural resources, rotating crops to avoid diseases, cover crops to improve soil quality, and a grazing plan you might have for managing pastures to take care of that perennial crop there. The holistic approach that has attracted many of us to organic practices and principles also supports the natural resources on the farm. So what is NRCS, the Natural Resource Conservation Service exactly? It began as a response to the Dust Bowl and was originally called the Soil Conservation Service. Today, it offers technical assistance and financial incentive programs for growers as they address resource concerns on their land. So you can see that it can serve a variety of farms, urban farms, very rural, large, small. Um, uh, the NRCS is kind of knows about transitioning to organic as a language, as a way to express what your farm is going through, certified organic, um, following organic principles, kind of all of that is within the scope of NRCS. So NRCS services and processes can um, look like going to a doctor, right? Um, and I've been thinking about this analogy a lot, and I want to say like particularly to your doctor, not necessarily like the ER, right? So NRCS can be something that you reach out to them with any known concerns. You might have a gully that you're concerned about. Maybe your compost system isn't quite right and you're worried about some leaching of nutrients. Overgrazed pastures, those would all kind of be like your known concerns that you could come to them with. You don't have to have the answer to your concerns. And the NRCS practice of conservation planning has very particular steps to it that will engage both you and that NRCS staff member in assessing where natural resources might be um, that you might need to mitigate or improve upon those. So the trust the process is what I like to tell a lot of people. So here we have some analogy language. We've got kind of like any symptoms would be your resource concerns. The treatment plan is what that conservation planner, the NRCS staff are going to come up with you and work with you on. That might result in treatment, particular conservation practices or management activities. And once you've implemented those, NRCS is going to come out and do a site inspection. And they even can have tools to like continue monitoring the effectiveness of the practice as you have implemented it and just are working, living alongside these practices. So NRCS and organic have a lot of shared goals and they're really naturally aligned. We can see here that priorities, those natural resource concerns that we talked about, are very much covered in the organic regulations for biodiversity, water quality that an organic certification process might go through. And again, just a reiteration of some of those practices, cover crops, nutrient management, buffers like hedgerows to improve that biodiversity and also protect the organic like overlap there is that protection from any unintended chemical drift. Crop rotations, grazing management, if you are thinking about transitioning to organic or looking to adopt more organic practices and principles on your land, working with NRCS to make those implementations could be a nice fit. So, all right. Do we have any questions about NRCS in particular? You can go off mute or you can add it to the chat. All right. And Catherine is going to go over some of the conservation programs.
Awesome. Thanks, Colleen. So let's start with the classic program that you may be familiar with if you have worked with NRCS before, or if you've heard any outreach out events or talks. That would be the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, or EQIP, as most folks like to call it. This is going to be working with the conservation planner to address a specific resource concern or a suite of resource concerns that you may have on your farm. And like Colleen mentioned, there will be specific practices that are addressing your specific resource concerns. So, for example, if you're having some erosion issues, like a gully or rill erosion, you may work with your conservation planner and decide that cover crop is the best practice to help you address that concern. Or if you're having some plant productivity issues, you may want to use low tunnels to extend your season or protect from the sun or insect damage or something like that. So part of the EQIP program is to offer financial assistance or incentive payments that can help cover part of the cost of implementing those conservation practices. You usually receive this payment after you have installed a practice and the planner has come out and said, yep, this all looks good. You installed it the way we asked you to, and it's working the way you were hoping. Then you would receive your payment. However, if you are a historically underserved producer, you can request an advance payment, which is at least 50% of the contracted payment for each practice upfront to help you purchase materials or contract services that are part of your contract. So, before we talk about what historically underserved is, just know that advance payments do come with some requirements where they have to be spent within 90 days of receiving them, and you just have to make sure you complete the practice as you agreed to. How do you know if you qualify as historically underserved? Beginner farmers include anyone that has less than 10 consecutive years of farming experience. And veterans are included, but they must also meet the criteria of being a beginner farmer. Socially disadvantaged farmer or ranchers is somebody who is a member of a group that's been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice because of their identity. However, this does not include gender. And limited resource farmer or ranchers have gross farm sales that are under a certain threshold for the past 2 years, and their household income is less than a county and area specific value. And I'd encourage you to follow this link. Colleen's going to send this out after our talk, but also look at, oh, awesome. Thank you, Colleen. I was going to say, look at the limited resource farmer rancher self-determination tool, because it will auto calculate for you what those thresholds are based on your state and your county. Super helpful. And then I believe on the website as well, there's a PDF that has checkboxes and you can work through what your category would be if you do qualify for HU. Okay, the Conservation Stewardship Program, or CSP, is the next level of conservation that assesses your existing level of stewardship on your property and helps you maintain that with an annual payment. And that is a 5-year contract, and your annual payment is awarded each year. And that means your contract will be at least $20,000 over 5 years as of right now. That's where the program is at currently. It is shifting a little bit, so the best place to get up-to-date information is from your local field office. And if you need any help figuring out where that is, maybe we could put a link, Colleen, or we can share resources with you all for that afterwards. Awesome, thank you. Something I want to note here is that we're still on the 2018 Farm Bill, and there is a specific eligibility requirement in that your property has to have been in production for 2 out of the 5 years prior to 2018 to be eligible for the CSP program. We ran into it quite a bit this year, so I just think a lot of organic farms do qualify for CSP because they have great stewardship and they may just have a few resource concerns that they want to improve on, but already meet our stewardship thresholds. Um, but there is that funky little eligibility requirement that can get in the way of eligibility. All right. And then we have the Regenerative Pilot Program, or RPP, as it's being called. This is a new initiative this year that's available under both the EQIP and the CSP programs. So it's just a little piece of those programs. And the way this is structured is to be a whole farm plan, and we want to address and assess all soil and water resource concerns in an operation. So part of the assessment is every single resource concern you may have, whereas in EQIP, you may have inquired about a specific resource concern and then identified a couple more. Under this program, we would have to be assessing and then addressing all of the soil and water concerns. Another component of this is that you have to include at least one primary regenerative management practice, which has been identified on a list in that link that Colleen has sent. But some of those are listed to the right. Cover crop, crop rotation, your management practices, transitioning to no-till are all considered primary regenerative practices. And again, that's not an exhaustive list. There are many more. And you would have to include soil health testing in the first and final year of your contract. And another piece of this is that you need to demonstrate that a field or part of your operation is going to meet. So that means you are basically solving or curing all of the soil and water resource concerns throughout at the end of your contract. So if you have some rill erosion and you're going to plan cover crop and crop rotation to help meet that concern, then you're meeting it, but you may have some other water concerns or soil concerns outside of that that would also need to be addressed in this program. It's a little confusing, and I think the link Colleen sent has a lot more details. And again, the best way to get information and see if it's applicable to your operation is to reach out to your local field office and have a site visit with a planner, and they will be able to give you specifics for your operation. Okay, I believe that is it from me. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. So I just have a couple more slides to wrap us up here. I wanted to just present enough to give us a good overview and maybe bring up some questions and see what we could do for those on the call. I wanted to talk a little bit about technical service provider support. There are two organic specific components available through NRCS for the transition process. There's a planning activity all about that organic transition in relation to your natural resource concerns. And then there's a design and implementation activity. You don't really need to know the details here, but I just want you to know that there are these things in place within NRCS to really support people going through the organic transition process and kind of thinking about, well, how am I going to address the natural resource concern of like pest pressure now, disease pressure? How am I going to keep the soil covered and reduce erosion with cover crops and the specifics of that? These planning activities particularly involve a technical service provider. So there's someone who's going to work with NRCS. They're certified to do this and help you put together an all-encompassing, remember all of those natural resource concerns that I mentioned. You'd be looking and planning, assessing and planning all through that. Um, if this sounds like something that might be a good fit for you, or you're really interested in it, it's the same as we've said a couple times. You just start with your local NRCS office. Kind of talk to them about your land, talk to them about your goals. If you are in a transitioning period, maybe transitioning to organic, mentioning that will help the planners kind of know what to look at and see if it's a best fit for you. In no way do you have to do one of these organic planning activities to work with NRCS. And you also do not have to do this planning activity to transition to organic certification. They're not requirements, it's just a tool, it's a program that's might be a good fit for you. And it's really partnering with NRCS staff, collaborating with them to see what is the best fit. I used to do some presentations on a particular practice that NRCS has. And I think the biggest advice I could give to folks was like, make sure everything's in alignment, right? NRCS has conservation goals, parameters that it's all looking for. And if you have a personal goal that might be in conflict with that, don't hide that and think it might just work out, right? You really want to be honest about what your goals are, what your priorities are, and find that best fit. This isn't, it's not the type of program or practices that are going to like shoehorn super well. There may be adjustments on your side to like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I want to do that. But if really want to use your hoop house to like store your boat in for part of the year, that might be something to bring up and you may find that it's not the right fit, right? That you may just look for something else. So yeah, I don't know. Catherine likes that example, huh? It's out there, but it's not so far out
Yeah.
there from what we experience sometimes. Um, so so which program is right for me? And it's a blank page, and you start thinking, maybe in your head you think, oh, equip, maybe CSP, and you could be completely right about that. But the reassuring news is that there is only one application, and the planner assesses which program is right for you, right alongside you. I like to say about going to your NRCS office, like the best day to plant a tree was yesterday. The second best day to plant a tree is today. I think the same kind of energy can be for reaching out to NRCS if that's something you'd like to do, is just kind of get in touch with them, know who you'll be working with, and kind of plan things out into the future. All right, last slide here. So what is a conservation practice itself? The practice is a system or a management activity, or it could be infrastructure like that hoop house, composting facility. They're designed to protect or restore natural resources. And what I wanted to do now was just look at the NRCS webpage. So conservation practice standards, if you just are so new to this idea, this might be a good page to kind of take a look at. gives you a really good overview of what a practice is, kind of what are we talking about here. And then it has alphabetical list. Again, these are not things that you need to be experts on. It can just kind of give you, if you're someone sitting and thinking, is it worth it? Will anything be a good fit? This would be just a quick kind of look at to say, oh, you know what? That's really interesting. I didn't know that they work with and address that type of implementation or resource. So we've got all sorts here. And let's see, cover crop is one that we do a lot on organic farms. And it's just going to give you kind of some of their technical documentation. But also, most of these have a video that you could just go and watch and kind of really get that a grounded sense of what NRCS is looking for and what might be in alignment with your goals. Now, when the staff are looking at what practices may be a good fit to the conservation work or addressing any issues on your farm, they've got these very technical documents. So low tunnel system is one of them. And Nova, New Hampshire has a field day tomorrow to take a look at some of these. This is a new practice. It's kind of in an interim, like looking to see how it fits into the system practice. But what I wanted to show you on these is that every practice will have a list of purposes associated with it. And again, you don't have to be an expert on it, but I think it's good to know that your planner is kind of looking at and assessing your resource concerns and kind of looking at what kind of prescription ish thing they could write for you, you know, to adapt, to implement on your land to address those concerns. So low tunnel systems, it can be used with the purpose of improving plant productivity and health. So that's like extending any growing season. In New Hampshire, that means frost cover, right? So we can get further into the season or start earlier. And also reducing plant pest pressure. When NRCS talks about pests, they mean disease, they mean pests like insect pressure and weed pressure. So these low tunnels can be implemented with the purpose of keeping those insects out of a planting, anything like that. So I thought it'd be helpful to just kind of see a little bit of the inside work that planner is thinking about and just trying to like fit the puzzle of your particular and unique place, your land that you're stewarding, and those goals, conservation, uh, kind of set um, aspirations that NRCS has. So,
Pauline, I
okay.
have a question for you in regards to the
Yeah.
low tunnel system. Um, does there's two different kinds of, well, there's maybe more than two different kinds of
Mm-hmm.
covering. There's the white polyester, and you
Mm-hmm.
can get that in different weights for frost protection and things. But does
Mm-hmm.
insect netting, is that part of it as well?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Because of that reduced plant pressure purpose here.
Okay,
That's
very
really
good.
what anchors it in
Mm.
there. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
I have a
That's
So
really good.
question. Oh,
yeah.
Is shade cloth also covered?
Shade cloth it would be a great question. Um, if we
believe
were
it
in
might
this,
be.
yeah, if we were in the South, I'd say like yeah, like yes, right? That's part of like extending the growing season. I would just want to double check. There's Chad. I knew he'd pop up for me. Yeah, Chad, here up in this climate, does it fall in the category shade cloth?
Yeah, I think it followed the same logic that you were talking about, Colleen, with where, a planner is going to work with you and you're going to talk about what your crops need and what issues you're having, what concerns. And if you do have a crop that we find, justifiably needs additional shade, I think it could be an option. It's definitely a possibility, something we'd explore. Not something we often see,
Yeah.
but yeah, it is a potential, even though perhaps a little uncommon.
Yeah. Heather, are you growing something like a lettuce or something that really doesn't want
Yeah.
to grow in August?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
didn't know if it would count for anything else. But I mean, I already have a contract with NRCS, and
Hmm.
I have my low tunnels, and I used it for season extension this spring.
Yeah.
So I've already fulfilled that part of my contract. I was just curious
Yeah.
if the shade cloth worked as well.
Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you. All right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we'll see what other questions might come up. We have plenty of time. I really wanted to make sure that I kind of kept the presentation short and sweet, enough to kind of trigger any questions that we might have, anything we might want to talk about. Go ahead,
Before
Kendall.
we, sorry, could I just jump
Yeah,
in real quick? I
of
wanted to,
course.
before we moved on from the list of
Oh, yeah.
practice standards, I wanted to say that that's a national list and you
Oh, yeah.
might see a lot of practices on there that aren't offered in New Hampshire or whatever state that you're in. So
Yeah.
just again, work with your field office and um, you may see something that's actually not available in New Hampshire.
Yeah. Yeah. That is that's great to mention. I'm so sorry I didn't before. That the webpage is the most like user friendly, right? Like kind of way to just kind of see what might be there, might be a good fit. So, all right. Go ahead, Kendall.
Sorry, it took me a minute to find the unmute button there. So I'm in the western part of Meredith, upper Belknap County, and we're a small Christmas tree farm. Trying to get organic certified and go fully that way. And I'll be honest, I don't really know where to start with all this. So I saw the link for the local offices. I don't know if there's still one in Laconia or not. Um, but I guess I'm just kind of looking for some guidance on where to start.
Thanks for that question. So you're in Belknap County and you would be working with the Concord field office.
Okay.
And I will put the contact information in the chat for you. The best place to start is to give them a call and say that you're interested in learning more about their programs. And if you have any specific concerns about your operation, let them know what those are and that you'd be interested in having somebody out to talk with you.
Great. Yeah, I think a field visit, here would probably be beneficial all around.
Great. I would just say that you'd love to have someone come out and see what you've got going on.
Perfect. Thank you.
And
Oh,
Kendall, if you have questions about regulations on certification, help with your organic system plan, record keeping, anything like that, NOFA New Hampshire offers technical assistance, and that's available as well. So you would
Great.
reach out to me, and we can offer that for you.
I did attempt to reach out to two different companies to do organic certification, and they were listed on the national webpage. And both of them replied that they don't serve New Hampshire anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can help you with the certifiers as well.
That'd be great. Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, and this brings up a really great like distinction of roles and responsibilities, right? NRCS staff, their role and responsibility is to take a look at the conservation aspects of your land. And like we saw in the presentation, so much of that overlaps with what you need to do to meet organic regulations. But there's also some things that I didn't mention that maybe NRCS isn't as like involved in, right? Commingling of non-organic and organic products. that's kind of not within that conservation kind of span, right? So looking to NRCS to help with those pieces that are aligned, but remembering as the producer, as the farmer, the landowner, any organic certification is the responsibility of you to make sure that you're compliant, that the plans that you're working with your NRCS staff on to implement, to get this conservation plan going, you're the one who holds that piece of, is it compliant or not? Do I need to call my certifier? Do I need to call NOFA New Hampshire for some technical assistance? And really holding that responsibility for yourself, and expecting those NRCS staff to really be in it with you on that conservation plan. And if they don't, the staff are so looking to work with organic producers, willing to like so accepting and knowledgeable. And if they have a gap in their knowledge, maybe it's you as a producer who supports, or maybe they can turn to their NRCS systems to kind of find that fit and alignment. So, okay.
Are there any other questions in regards to conservation practices, organic certification, anything in that realm?
Could Catherine maybe talk a little bit more about the hedgerows? Or is that too specific and not really what this
We
meeting
can
is
talk
about?
about it. Yeah, for sure. It's a great
Okay.
question. So hedgerows are something a lot of other states have adopted already, and we haven't adopted a specific practice standard in New Hampshire yet for it, but I have been working on it. And right now we use tree and shrub planting. It's another practice standard. So we have hedgerow planting, it's a specific code, and then tree and shrub planting is a different code. And we can use that to help install shrubs and trees that meet your goals. So for hedgerow planting, it may not just be beneficial insect habitat and resources, but it could also be a windbreak. It's not super common in New Hampshire. It's pretty common out west because we don't really have a prevailing wind and a lot of crop damage from wind. But tree and shrubs can be pollinator resources, beneficial insect resources. They can also integrate herbaceous plants that are perennial or sometimes annuals or biennials, but mostly it's going to be your perennial plants. And if that's something you're interested in, we can chat more about it. And what the goal is with a hedgerow planting is to increase connectivity. And if you have a lot of forested area with early blooming species, and then you've got asters and goldenrods on your property too, but you have kind of a mid-season gap of resources for beneficials and pollinators, that might be something that we design a hedgerow specifically to include. So lots of different factors to it.
I just put a link in the chat for it comes up as resources for farmers. And the first thing that comes up is organic production resources. And there's blogs out there. One of them is a riparian buffer zones, windbreaks, agroforestry, alley cropping. And so we've pulled together different aspects and it links out to a lot of different organizations about these types of practices, which are also part of NRCS and conservation.
Yeah, you really touched on that, the verbiage, right? Hedgerow is a specific practice in the NRCS world, and um, and in organic, we might say we need a hedgerow, and what we need is pollinator space. And so this tree and shrub planting, or integrating those herbaceous plants can help with that. And in the organic world, maybe we need a buffer. And that's just like amount of space to not have the production of these organic products have any unintended chemical drift, right? But that could look like a lot of different NRCS practices could fit that bill, but a lot are not going to be able to, right? Because if I'm really looking to stop chemical drift, I should not put in a pollinator planting. Those are very competing purposes there. So that's definitely the tricky piece of communication and language, right? It's just words with many different meanings and connected
Yeah.
to many different things.
And I think that's why when an NRCS person comes out and you're talking with them and you're explaining what it is you're trying to do, they're going to be able to help with whether you're putting in a tree line or you're putting in pollinators or whatever you're doing for a hedgerow or a buffer zone or however, there's ways to interpret that differently. And NRCS needs to fill their language. And if it is organic, you can fill that language and a buffer zone in many different ways. It could look like a hedgerow. It could look like a tree line. It could look like a pollinator. So there's room in there for interpretation, I suppose.
Yeah. The example I like to give to NRCS staff is like sometimes a buffer in an organic system looks like 2 rows of the orchard are just harvested as non-organic because
Mhm.
they are adjacent to sprayed apple tree. Like, right. Um, so a organic buffer might not even necessarily in 100% of the time need any sort of planting or installment when that but that's a little bit on that producer and the organic certification part of it to determine what is sufficient. Yeah.
Just wondering if the NRCS has, do they, I didn't realize, but it looks like they offer support on compost systems, or is that NOFA?
There are compost system designs out there, depending on what's your existing compost situation like?
Oh, it's a big pile.
Great.
Yeah.
Worth reaching out to your planner about it because
Okay.
usually, if I remember correctly, you've got some sandier soils, right?
Very sandy. Yeah.
So usually if you just have a big pile of compost, there are sometimes concerns with leaching of nutrients out of that pile just into the groundwater. And there will be alternatives that you can explore with your planner, like maybe a concrete pad if it's warranted, or some sort of like gravel catchment system. And it's definitely just worth reaching out and having someone
Okay.
out to talk about it.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for the question.
When I was farming with a composting system in Vermont that wasn't kind of meeting the needs. It was helpful that I took photos of like large rain events and kind of where nutrients were flowing and kind of could map out kind of in these big weather events, kind of where does any of the compost, adjacent water, where does it go? And we found that helpful in the process
Okay.
of just assessing it. So it's not something you have to do, but I just thought I'd mention, if you've
Thank you.
got any pictures. Yeah, we had a lot of rain the other day.
We did. I can go take a picture right now. It's mostly
Exactly.
leaves. Mostly I'm composting leaves right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully it's not too nitrogen leaching or
Yeah.
phosphorus. What am I worried about leaching? Is phosphorus, right?
Both of
Nitrogen and
those.
phosphorus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, that's one of those things NRCS will have guidelines. Organic certification also has very specific guidelines, and they all kind of agree with like produce safety guidelines for compost. So
Mhm.
they all have their own things, but they all are in alignment together.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank you all for attending, and if you have questions in regards to conservation and need help, reach out to the Concord field office or the local office where you are. I know that both of them were put in here, the Concord field office as well as finding the field office. I also put in a link here to the Farmer Resilience Fund from NOFA, New Hampshire. That will link to funding opportunities, which also links to the NRCS Find Your Office. So, and if you have questions about certification, and specifically your OSP record keeping, reach out to NOFA New Hampshire. I want to
Yeah.
thank you all
Hopefully we
for,
see you at the field day tomorrow.
yep,
So,
I put a link in there to register for the field day. It's in Concord at Generation Farm. James is going to take us through how he uses low tunnels, what they look like, how you install them, and everything. So it'll be a good time. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.